Frank teaches us the universal laws of physics, which is metaphysics. We also have a roundtable discussion on anything that may be bothering us that day. During the second hour, Stephen tunes directly into the listening audience where healing requests are made, guides the healings, and often gives insightful information about their situation. For further information on Frank, please visit his website at www.psytronics.com. That is PSI-TRONICS.com. Psytronics.com. You are also invited to set up a one-on-one appointment with Frank by calling 208-344-9188. That number again, 208-344-9188. His email address, fljordan@cable1.net. Through his website, Frank has several novels listed, dowsing tools, subtle energy lights, and the Clearing the Way instruction book. Donations are always accepted and can be made through the website of Wolf Spirit Radio, Psytronics.com, and of course, Universal Mind Radio. Now, please enjoy our show. Frank?
Good morning, everyone. Well, it's a very chilly morning in the Pacific Northwest. That we just are catching the edge of that cold. The weather it slide down from Canada. It's turned into an inversion here in the valley, and it's staying cold, even though it's warmer to the south and actually warmer above us. But we're looking forward to some winds from the Pacific, and that should take that inversion out very soon, and we'll warm up again. It's just too early for this to be happening here in our neck of the woods. And it's been down to zero here. We've had 4 days of successive record-setting low temperatures. And looking at the national news this morning, at the adverse effect of everything that's happening back east, we have to consider ourselves lucky that we don't have the 6 feet of snow that Buffalo, New York has. And I can't imagine having to face that kind of a situation and accomplish anything in this modern world. But with that said, it is an interesting day, and you may be feeling the effects of it already because, Mike, the moon just went void of course. Will be for 24 hours, right?
Yeah. Let me read the snippet today. Impulsiveness can be an issue today if we don't recognize our need for change. Our relations are pleasantly intense. The moon is void from 9:24 a.m. Eastern and for the remainder of the day, suggesting we should avoid new beginnings. Moon is in Libra all day till Thursday at 12:30 a.m. So you void of course, waning crescent phase. So that's, there we are.
Yeah, there we are. So we get to look at ourselves and just step out into our own reality for a moment and just see how we feel today. And it's interesting how the astrological influences really give us insight to not only to how we're feeling, but what's going on out in the outer world. And that allows you to introspectively gauge your reaction to the outer world. And if you want a real challenge, you can change the effect of the astrological influences on yourself. And that is done. And interesting. Would you like to learn how to do that now?
Sure would.
All right. Well, we'll go into a quick meditation, and I'll show you how to change an astrological influence that's affecting you or your reality. So just drop right straight back up from the forehead. We'll go into our usual meditation state now. And from that, we'll spring right on out into the weather and the other things. But we'll go into rather than a lot of discussion about how it works, I'll just demonstrate it. Take your awareness into your forehead and just step back now into the soul center behind the frontal lobes of the brain. Now, just for a moment, in the soul center, this is that area where you just kind of drop into yourself, because what you're feeling is the soul center, which is your true self. Now you might notice that you're just not very excited about anything this morning, that you just as soon possibly go back to bed and just hibernate. And that is the effect of the astrological influences at the present time. And it becomes the group mind consciousness also. So if you extend yourself outward into the group mind consciousness of the soul, it doesn't change much. It just gains intensity. If anything, I can feel the low self kick in and agree, well, let's just not do anything today. We don't have to worry about much. Just let life pass us by. But if we are actively involved in the world, take that next step back into the psychic center. And here again, you feel that kind of depressive quality that's going on as you extend out into the psychic grid. And here's where you can begin to make change. In the grid, in response to the void of course, which simply means there's no exact influences from the moon at this time. The moon simply amplifies all the other influences. The only other influences is the moon squaring Mars, which might make you a little antagonistic.
Frank, I was just looking at bigger aspects here. Yeah, we do have a minor stellium in on the cusp of Sagittarius. So we've got Mercury, Saturn, Sun, and Venus are all tightly bundled, and Mercury will probably be passing over conjunction of all those planets in the next few days. So we'll get Mercury triggers to Saturn, and then the Sun energy. As you said, no other major aspects today.
That helps. So just in the group mind consciousness and through your indwelling soul now, and through the psychic grid, reach out and feel the general consciousness, the influences that are coming from the astrological fixes. Now our body is attuned to listen to these, to feel these influences and to respond to them. So what you do, because the subconscious mind is so incredibly literal, it believes anything you tell it or visualize or fantasize in this moment of now, because for the subconscious there is no past and there's no future. Everything is in this moment of now. So in this moment of now, we shift. It's like being in the astrological fixes and being the energetics of the solar system. We simply shift forward into the future within yourself. It's like telling your subconscious mind, we're no longer on November 19th. We're shifting forward and asking for a date to when the influences are all positive and we're up and we can be at our very best. And usually we can shift 3 or 4 days. So we just shift forward now and feel the shift as your subconscious responds. Subconscious, please respond to a fix in the future, a moment of now in the future, when we're bright and happy, anticipating life, willing to participate in life. We're feeling no depressive energies. We're bright, we're intelligent, we're inspired to be all that we can be. Now feel that happening within yourself. And feel the lightning sensation, the clarity that comes into your system. Now, a more interesting thing is all of us, as many of us are participating in the group mind through Wolfert Radio, all of you who are listening or may have listened in the past and feeling the influence of our desired will, do the same thing and resonate. All of you who are listening, resonate our intent of having a positive, beautiful day out into the group mind consciousness of the world. And you feel everything open up outside of yourself. Oh, doesn't that feel better? Everything lightens up. We can look forward to anticipating wonderful days. Thank you, subconscious mind. Thank you, subconscious group mind. Now, I've gone as far as to change within myself and in others that I've worked with, the astrological birth signs of people. When they're born with a lot of squares or a lot of negativity to anticipate in their lives, we've been able to shift the positions of the planets in our birth resonance back at the time of our birth when the soul comes in. I have been able to shift those programs just by visualizing each planet and placing it in a place where we want to be, and your internal computer downloads that, and that becomes the basis of your reality. And it does make phenomenal changes in people. So I give this to you as a gift this morning to play with and practice and understand that it's really quite simple. And here again, it's merely a matter of mastering your reality instead of being subjective to it. All right, all you bright, vigorous people out there in your high anticipatory day, do you have any questions about any of that? If not, let's go directly to Earth Mind and to the earthquake grid, and still in your step back state, extend your awareness down the spine to the root chakra and right on down into Earth Mind. Earth Mind is the cumulative information of everything that ever happened to us on Earth. It is the Akashic record. So we go into Earth Mind, and through Earth Mind we can tune into Mother Earth itself, to the chakra system of Mother Earth, feel its resonance with the sun, and we do that now, become Mother Earth, and reach out to the sun from Earth consciousness and feel the radiant energy, the life force that comes from the sun. Let that pour into Earth and every living thing, and feel it vitalize your own systems. Feel it youthening, giving you the vigor and the power, the focus that allows you to alter your physical reality right down to the physical cells in your body and your physical structure. This is all a response to the sun energy. You can feel that just radiating, resonating with every cell in your body now. Now we do notice that there's one major sunspot, and it's pointed directly at Earth. Clairvoyantly, you can see that. It's like a malevolent red spot looking right directly at us, and it could fire off. And so one of our intents in our meditation today will be to reinforce the golden grid around the Earth, so deflect any energy that comes out of that or future sunspots as solar flares. So to do that, take your awareness directly to Southern California now and tune into the earthquake grid there. Just become one with the earth in that region and feel the stress of the multiple fractures, fault lines building up, because that is in constant movement there, creating minor tremors and mid-range, and once in a while on the San Andreas a really truly powerful tremor. Just attune to that stress energy and raise it up your spine, out through your crown chakra, out through oversoul, and connect into the golden grid. And pour that energy into the grid to strengthen the system we've created some time ago that continually protects us from the sun, any detrimental influences of the sun, or asteroids coming in. And we'll take time this moment to reinforce the interaction between the dead star that circles that Nibiru circles, that is on its way in. That star has a negative polarity. So in our golden grid, and using Earth's negative polarity, we create a repulsive force to push Nibiru out into a wider orbit. We just focus and utilize our unified field of consciousness, direct Mother Earth to repulse Nibiru by shifting the polarity, and it will do that. We will our golden grid to sustain that thought form we've created. Everything is manifested first as a thought, and then energetics of consciousness, desire will pull the thought into form through the interaction of polarity between Mother Earth itself, the negative polarity, the female polarity, and Oversoul, our Oversoul, which is the Sun polarity, the positive polarity of the Sun. Now shift your awareness further north along the San Andreas Fault, releasing energy upward to San Diego. There was a large quake there not too long ago, so we feel that general area to see if there's any more building up, and there is. And you felt that instantaneously at the base of your brain. So release that energy. The signal came in the primitive brain, the primitive part of our spinal cord, at the base of the brain. Direct energy directly to that area, the intent to release that energy upward. And you feel it when the connection is made and the flow is manifesting. You can go on to another place, because anything we bring into form with the desire and will holds that form until an opposition energy changes it, or some other desire and will, or until it's served its purpose, and it becomes a devic force of consciousness that holds the form. Now move northward to Los Angeles, and through the various fracture lines north of Los Angeles all the way up to San Francisco. Clearing, releasing. All the way up to San Francisco. There we reach out into the various fault lines that radiate from that break in the southern coast, mountain ranges, Pacific Range, that is created by the subduction. Even though that's primarily a slip plate, there is subduction occurring too that creates the mountain range, the coast range. Lift that upward. Continue on northward. All the way to the Oregon line. And then we'll switch eastward to the Sierra Nevada mountains that border the eastern edge of California, subducting under Nevada. Lift those energies upward. All the way down to Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and swing northward, following the subduction zone of that plate, that landmass, to the Rocky Mountains, which are another thrust fault from the central states. Moving upward now. There's a lot of minor activity occurring, and this is a reflection of the fact that in our last visit we did not spend particularly a lot of time focusing in on the general areas and lifting the energies. So that the energies are intensified today. There are more of them, so we'll spend more time to do a more thorough job. Now as I move northward to the Yellowstone, we feel a cluster of minor activity around Old Faithful region, the Geyser region. This is coming from the caldera, and you might feel a tension in your throat at this time. This is a warning from the devil consciousness there that there is pressure building up in the caldera. Lift that upward now. Put all of your attention, all of yourself, your extended will and consciousness directly into the geysers, into the caldera, and create a gigantic geyser out of the center of the Yellowstone Basin. This is huge today. Lift that energy upward. This thing is suddenly priming. Lift it upward and release it. Devic force of consciousness of the Yellowstone, listen to us. We will you, we ask, we desire that the energies that are building in the cauldron release as energy. The heat is transferred to energy in this column, and to carry that to the golden grid around the earth and use that energy as a protective field. Now, Devas, thank you for your cooperation. We thank you. We know you're subjective, but we want you to know we're very grateful for your participation in working in the environment of the earth to maintain life force. And we call on all the life force in that entire region of Wyoming and eastern Idaho to unify your desire and will and to help to release this energy. Everything that having DNA and life in that region, lift this energy now. Release it. Calm down, Cauldron. Now, as we do this, you're beginning to feel a sense of relief as that energy is being released. And that's because of your attunement with the life force consciousness of that area. We also use the energy of the sun. And use the energy of the sun to translate into a force of consciousness that helps to sustain the geyser of energy that we're created. And we distribute that around to the golden grid. It's interesting how you can feel it right above your eyes and release that on up. Well, that's the will center above the eyes, back in your head. That's our unified will, working with the will of all living creatures in that area. Sustain, sustain, sustain. Now you feel a relief. And we release that now with intent, sending our extent into the future to maintain the geyser we've created of energy. And our intent is to reinforce it as frequently as possible. Now continue on northward to the Canadian line, where there's some activity in the Rocky Mountains there. And then shift eastward, westward to the Pacific Northwest. A lot of scattered activity in the Willamette Valley and the Coast Range extending all the way up through Washington and into southern Canada. That's a subduction zone from that San Juan de Fuca plate to release those energies to the ancient volcanic or vents that are already in place to do that. Now take your awareness northward to the Gulf of Alaska and the subduction zone of the North Pacific Plate, subduction underneath the Alaskan landmass. And continue on northward to the Gulf of Alaska and the subduction zone of the North Pacific Plate, subduction underneath the Alaskan landmass. And continue on northward to the Gulf of Alaska and the subduction zone of the North Pacific Plate, subduction underneath the Alaskan landmass. See the myriad of earthquakes, thousands of tiny and low-range earthquakes occurring constantly there. And we focus now on that energy release, lubricating each one of those plates with our desired will and intent, so it becomes a harmonious release of energy, resulting in small earthquakes that release, and we can feel the harmonious tremor of a release of energy occurring there now. Carry that upward. That's greater intensity than we've felt there for some time. Now come down along the Aleutian Trench, and we see again more activity, more concentrated activity, to the degree of a 5-point on Boulder Island. .9 in Atka. Many more smaller earthquakes lift those upward all the way over to the peninsula that extends down from Russia, the Okhotsk Peninsula. Follow down the Kamchatka Trench, where this is a subduction zone from the widening Pacific Plate thrusting under the Sea of Okhotsk, north of Japan. Some pretty good bumpers there coming on down into Japan itself. There's a scattering of low range 4.4 activity there. Lift that energy upward, spiral it into a cyclone to carry the radiation from the nuclear plants into the air as we transmute it into the golden grid. And utilize that energy to protect the earth. And continue southward to Nishinomote, Japan. 5.1 there, lift that energy upward. This is suboceanic energy. And southward into the northern Philippines. 4.7 at Burgos, in the northern edge of the Philippines. And mid-range activity all the way down to very large activity at Betang, Indonesia. And up to a 7.1. That's enough to create tsunamis because this is a suboceanic energy. Go into that fault line, clear the stress off of that plate, and we've seen ongoing activity here before. So we lubricate that ocean ridge there where the activity is occurring. On south to Luwak, then south into Indonesia and the Java Trench subduction zone. It's creating the entire Indonesia island and land mass chain. things are fairly quiet right now, but lift those energies in anticipation for increased activity. Move eastward to New Guinea, ongoing volcanic activity, and sub-oceanic activity, all the way through the island chain to Fiji, down the Tonga Trench, and the Kermadec Trench that runs into New Zealand. This is actually the subduction zone that increased or is that created New Zealand. There's a 6.7 off of the North Island, northeast of Gisborne. Reach down through the entire length of New Zealand, and that subduction zone creates New Zealand, lift those energies. A lot of geysers there, hot water, the full length of that subduction zone. Ancient volcanoes and active volcanoes, release that. We're asking our contact in New Zealand to direct our intent and focus on the areas there that feels better. Now we go eastward across the southern Pacific to South America. Very light activity in the Chile landmass and the Andes Mountains. Release what you can feel there. And continue northward to Central America. The usual volcanic activity on the landmass of Central America and the plate activity of the subduction zone that creates Central America. Lift that upward. Then move eastward to Puerto Rico. The Dominican Republic, always a scattering of small activity there. Now eastward to the Atlantic, northward to Iceland, where we continue to reinforce our desire to lift the energy from the now inactive volcano that's next to the active one, and release energy from the active one. That's creating 5.2 earthquakes as a result of the magma moving upward that becomes volcanic ash and the pressure is released. We release that energy. Now move back to the Mediterranean and to Limni, Greece, the 5.3 at Limni. Now eastward to southern Iran in the Zagros Mountains. Eastward to the Himalayas, the northern Himalayas, where there's a string of mid-range earthquakes up to 5 point near Murghab, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan. This again is pressure from the India plate pushing northward. This all the way up to Kyrgyzstan, where there's a 5.2. Now we move inland to the Mongolian plateau. There's a 4.7 at Delay, Mongolia. China's quiet for this moment. We go to the fault lines in western central China. Clear the pressure off of those. Now move eastward through the Pacific to the Hawaiian Islands. We have 2 to 3 points of activity there. We continue our release of the Kilauea volcano. Now move eastward to the United States, to the central states, around Kansas, southern Kansas, northern Oklahoma, around Perry. Steady increase, amplification of many small earthquakes there caused by the fracking. Lift those energies upward, and we send direct intent into the deadly courses of that area to utilize our energy and that earthquake energy to help correct the damage to the environment and the pollution of the water in that region. Now we move eastward to Fairfield Bay, Arkansas. And to the New Madrid Fault in Missouri. A lot of activity there. It seems to be increasing, not intensity, but in the vertical plane on that fault line. Lift that upward. Now we've completed the grid, so bring your awareness back into our United States reality, into the plane of consciousness, the human plane of consciousness, into the will centers of those who are working to stabilize the financial structure. And it's coming into form now and looking very positive. So we prompt the release of the cabal that holds the control over the financial, prompting them to release, pull back in and concentrate their activities to just simply making money for themselves rather than trying to rule the world. Take our awareness to the politicians in Washington, that are deadlocked between the Congress, the House, and the President. And we tune into the President and his cabinet and the cabal that drives them or controls them. And we realize, we feel their discouragement and their determination to continue in their process to create the one world order in which they will be the masters of all mankind. And we send energy, disruption energy, to break up and break down their plans, to make them, to cause them to come into discord within themselves. Now we're feeling a flow of energy come through the galactic center and into our hands as we do this. This is our signal that this is where we need to extend a lot of intent and energy, is direct this energy from a galactic center to cause a disruption of communication between these forces which are beginning to pull back and from their unified force and field into their own selfishness and their own reserves, to consolidate their own power within their financial structures. And this is breaking down the force that sustains the banking system around the world and controls it, and allowing those who are creating the positive grid of banking system to implant their choices, their will, in creating the new world reality. And in that we extend the intent, the view, the visualization of dominion, in which the world and humanity functions in dominion over the planet and all living things. Dominion being the caretakers, the nurturers of all living things, and Earth itself. We extend that around the world, reinforcing it through our golden grid to maintain that focus of energy of dominion in the world. And we feel that resonating into the Earth mind, changing the instinctive consciousness of those who are resisting the new world reality. And we do this to raise the frequency and the consciousness of all human beings, lifting them to a higher plane of awareness. And we see this shift as being the factor that can directly influence the weather patterns and the consciousness of Earth, Earth mind, that allow Earth to come back into normal cycles of weather and to the balance. The struggle for control is creating imbalance in the weather patterns. So we see those deep troughs withdrawing back to the North Pole. We see the polar shift stabilizing, which is having some disruption on where the center of the orbital Earth is. It's like looking down from space now at the top of the Earth and seeing from the Arctic region, seeing that things come back into balance on the land masses and the weather patterns stabilizing. Even though we're tilted into the winter cycle now, we're asking for harmony and not the imbalances that create great destruction in life. And so it is. bring your awareness back into your own reality, your own world. And notice as you do this, you don't feel the void of course, that you're feeling good about the earth and about yourself and the influences on earth. And we're told we can go into earth mind, the Devic forces of consciousness, that also respond to the astrological influences. And we can desire, we can say the desire, even though the planets are very fixed in their paths and rotation and what they create, we can ask that the more positive influences be intensified, that the beneficial influences that harbor all earth life and that create the very function and foundation of the biological structure of life on earth, in cooperation with the sun, create a beautiful balance and harmony of energy, and feel the intensity of the energy through your hands at this time. Visualize the globe of the world between your hands. And pour life force, galactic energy into Earth to stabilize and harmonize the Earth weather patterns, the consciousness of humanity, and the desire for all living things, that dominion come into the earth and the ascension into the fourth dimension, where we'll begin our training to ascend into the fifth dimension and higher, having completed the learning process that is teaching us to be co-creators with the God forces. Now feel that awareness come into yourselves and spread it out through the will, the common will of the world, humanity, that our desire is to ascend to the higher consciousness, to leave behind the domination forces that was our training ground, that taught us right choice, how to make right choices for the benefit of the world in dominion. And we feel that happening now. You see the little globe in your hands glowing with light force and energy and increased frequency, raised frequency and harmony and increased consciousness and awareness that we are all one living consciousness of God, and in co-creation with God we can manifest and bring into form the more positive reality of our future potentials. We feel our heart, the 0 point in our heart, resonating with our intent and resonating with the 0 point of earth chakras. We feel our intent coming to pass. Creating the form, the reality of dominion, and our place, and our joy of life within it. Now we release the globe from our hands into earth mind. It's casted into earth mind as a firm fixture of knowledge and intent, desire and will. And come back into your own reality now. Rise up through your soul center, out into your frontal lobes, back into consciousness. And so it is. Any comment from the group today?
In the background, I could hear a completely new sound from the galactics, and it almost sounds like a wind. It's really very soothing, very beautiful.
Oh, perfect timing on that ring.
It sounded to me like a flame, or in a heater, or in a kerosene heater, or something like that. Pretty steady, yeah. Some kind of flame in a heater-like sound.
Aha. Energy. Mm-hmm.
Must have been God calling. There was no one on the line. All right, everyone. Well, it was a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It is a good day.
And thank you for that gift, sharing how to shift the effects of astrological forces, and also the idea of the birth planets, that shift of energy. That was amazing. Thank you.
Yes, we're learning as we go. We're being taught as we go, actually.
Very powerful show this morning. And to the listening audience, we will be back Saturday morning at 9 o'clock Pacific time and Sunday evening, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, with a 2-hour show on teaching and meditation. Again, his website, www.psitronics.com, psi-tronics.com. Phone number 208-344-9188. Thank you, everyone, for today's show.
Thank you, Joan.